Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. You'll find the rest of the data, important stuff down below in the description under this video. But this video today is about Lockheed-Sikorsky and Boeing, from defects to fudging documentation. Bell wins hands down. As you've heard, if you're in the aerospace arena or in that type of field and you've been following that Bell helicopter, won the replacement factor of the Black Hawk helicopter. And they won it with the V-280 Valor, the Tiltrotor aircraft, while Lockheed-Sikorsky Boeing did not win it with the Defiant SB-1. And I will say this video is so impactful that I think if you're interested, you should watch it. If you're not, just turn it off. We had a dear friend of ours, Tom McDonald, fantastic musician, very talented, very, very talented. His music really hits the core in many arenas of what I do here, trying to illuminate you business owners and my fellow citizens. And this video, again, is about Lockheed, Sikorsky, and Boeing, from defects to fudging documentation. Bell wins hands down. We have some special guests, like United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin came in all the way from Washington. And I appreciate you coming in, Lloyd. Please sit down. We have some things to show you. Unbelievable. We also may be having Mr. Mitch Schneider, the CEO of Bell here. I really appreciate Tom McDonald. Thank you very much, Tom, for allowing me to use those wise words about I can't be controlled. I only stand by the truth alone. I can't be controlled. I only stand by the truth alone, just as I do here. And as A.A. Milne said, who wrote Winnie the Pooh, it is easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact no one has heard before. We're going to continue on. In 2013, I gave a speech at the American Society for Quality. I want to do this methodically so that you still understand this. You know, it's amazing that, I don't break these videos up. Somebody said to me, Daryl, why don't you break them up into 3 or 4 parts so they're like 5 to 10 minute segments? Instead, I like to do it all in one shot so that there's no transgression of time or break-offs. So in 2013, I did a speech at the American Society for Quality. I gave that speech. There was a Mr. Dave Levy, who was a Deputy Director, Region 3 Deputy Director of the ASQ. At that time, the American Society for Quality and the American National Standards Institute owned the accreditation body of ANAB, the American National Crediting Board. And he was sent there to discredit me. Well, he couldn't do it because, as you've seen in videos, we do have a lot of data, a lot of information on the fraudulent text of voluntary consensus standards hidden under the guise of quality certification. Well, this is what Dave said. Dave said he said, there's no restriction on you doing business unaccredited or accredited. And as I said before, ANAB has no problem with what you're doing. In fact, we support you, sir. That's why he never pushed that up the ladder. It's unbelievable. In 2016, a mere 3 years later, we received a letter from Randy Doherty. We wrote him about accreditation, what have you. And he said that there is nothing that would stop us from joining in 2016, either ANAP or the International Accreditation Forum. Mind you that the International Accreditation Forum and the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation is watched over by ANSI ANAP because they are their underwriters, meaning that when ANSI ANAB said that we only certify the system, we don't certify the product. Once they go into that factor of being an underwriter, all gloves are off. That means that they are responsible, not only for the system, but also for the product. Randy further went on and wrote us at that same time. Now, Randy at the time was the technical director of ANAP, and he was also the principal on the IAF tax report, treasurer, whatever. And the IAF, the International Accreditation Forum, is incorporated in Delaware. He wrote us and he said, but we recognize and accept that there are conformity assessment bodies and accreditation bodies, such as your body and your accreditation body, that are not part of the IAF and ILAC structure. When he says your body, that means your registrar. While my colleagues and I at ANAB can attest to the confidence and integrity and competence of registrars accredited by IAF member accreditation bodies, we cannot attest this to your body. Now, accreditation definition: a certification of competence in a specified subject or areas of expertise and of the integrity of an agency, firm, group, or person awarded by a duly recognized and respected accreditation organization. Well, I'm going to say this. You can see how he's got the confidence in the integrity and competence of registrars. When you look at Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, who sit on ANSI's board, right over by the NIH, CDC, FDA, USDA, and FBI, who investigates, and many other federal agencies, okay? They skipped quality processes and standards, okay? And Pfizer, for example, had a return of 15 million vials of COVID that we know of, and Johnson & Johnson had 60 million vials because they skipped quality processes and standards. And here they are sitting on that board that Randy says, while my colleagues and I at ANSI ANAB can attest to such a confidence in the integrity and competency of registrars that are accredited by IAF member accreditation bodies. That's some hell of a confidence. And then you look at Boeing, who's got atrocious quality. We're going to show that to you in this. Lockheed Martin, who has atrocious quality. In fact, they just had an article written about Lockheed that I did a video on that will be down below about, after 800 planes, they still can't get their shit together. And you know why I say shit? Shit's a quality term, means a poor quality. That's what it means. F-35. Oh my God. ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation. It sounds like it's the government. American National Standards Institute. Well, we're going to show you. In 2015, Randy Doty, the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF, okay, and also the principal on the IAF tax reform, Form 990, he handed over leadership to Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994, ladies and gentlemen and business owners. He is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, located in Beijing, China. He also is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take our data through the China National Accreditation Law, China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. There you go. ANSI and ANAB took over. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. You have both federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2017, Randy was being advertised and was on the Department of Homeland Security's website, a private concern on a government website. That's like business owners, your business being advertised on a government website. I don't think that's legal. Well, I exposed that and they took Randy down. But I want to give you a piece. At the time when Randy sat there, there was a guy, Phil Matheson, who sits on ANSI's board getting $262,000 at the time, not taxed, by the way, plus his federal salary. Double dipping, as they say. He's the head of the standard management, whatever the heck that crap is that they titled him at, making that type of money. Meanwhile, Randy was on here. Something's fishy when you hear this guy, Communist National, who's running an American-based company, is on the IAF, of course, as the chairman. And could there be an espionage connection? Because every one of those federal agencies that sit on ANSI's board have gotten their data taken. Of course, I said federal agencies and corporations sit on ANSI. And look at this. It is absolutely a mess. By the way, Zhao Jinwu is seen many times. I have shown pictures. You'll find videos down below that he is the guy who certified through the China National Accreditation Services, the lab that more than likely released the COVID virus in Wuhan, China. An IAF MLA, multilateral arrangement organization, is equivalent to ANAB, okay? Which means that if ANAB is an underwriter, that means all of the organizations that are as an IAF MLA are basically watched over and protected by ANAB's underwriting capability, because they underwrite the IAF and also ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. Sitting on there at the time was IAF MLA organizations, Iran and Pakistan, who harbored Osama bin Laden. Pakistan did, and those countries both admitted to harboring some of the terrorists of 9/11. I don't say that about the people, I say that about the politicians. You also have the factor of Randy writing us still, and this is when he in 2014, as he was with the IFMLA, he was in 2014 the vice president of ANAP, the chairman of the IF Incorporated in Delaware, and also the principal on the IF tax report. And this is what he says, and this is why when they had the release of the COVID virus out of Wuhan, that ANSI are responsible as the underwriters for that laboratory failure. And I've shown you in other videos of Miss Pamela Sale, who stated under deposition, now she's the vice president of ANAB and ASCLD Lab, which ANSI own ASCLD Lab. But ANAB could do laboratory and so could ASCLD Lab, which is like, again, double dipping, but that's neither here nor there. That's for another story, another time. She said that from one laboratory to another, there are no protocols, very few. They don't follow it. They do what they want. It's ad hoc. So they give a piece of paper as a verification of their quality. Yet there's a lot of failure, as we saw in Wuhan, China. She basically admitted to Wuhan's release of the COVID virus. An IAF MLA works to facilitate global trade and vision of certified once accepted everywhere. IAF MLA signatories are obligated to recognize certificates accredited by other IAF MLA signatories as equivalent. So a company with an ISO 9001 or an ISO 17025 for laboratory certification that is accredited by the China National Accreditation Services, the IF MLA signatory in China, is equivalent to an ISO 9001 or ISO 17025 certificate accredited by ANAP. We found out that, yes, ANAP is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware and also the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. And an underwriter is this. You also have the factor that ANSI ANAB were sitting on the IF at the time. Okay, at the time that China was their chairman. Okay, Communist China between 2015 and 21. ANSI and ANAB both have 10 registrars about that certify per ANAB in China. They can issue an ANAB accredited certificate. We tried to warn Lockheed Martin in 2015. We received this letter back. It said, Daryl Guberman, in order for us to meet our customers' requirements, Lockheed Martin deals with entities that are certified through the International Accreditation Forum. Your company is not a registrar of the IF, and therefore your accreditation is not recognized by Lockheed Martin. Now listen, business owners, do you think I'm going to be a schmuck and go join, as you saw in 2016, this organization? Do you think in 2015, when we found out that Zhao Jinwu, a communist Chinese national who's mandated to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, do you think we're going to be a schmuck and join those organizations? And she's telling us that she won't deal with anybody that's not involved with freaking communist China? Let's continue on. The reason why, okay, first off, Lockheed gets hacked in 2009, but also they sit on ANSI's board. The reason why Miss Lisa Gross, who wrote that, and she's the ethics officer at the time at Lockheed, whether she works there or not, I would have gotten rid of her right after that letter. But anyway, she was just given that to write to us. Anyway, what happened is, the reason why she pushes the whole IF deal is because Lockheed Martin sits on the IF. You find something wrong with that? On top of that, what's really sad is they're the number one military supplier, contractor in America. And they sit on the IAF, right over by Pakistan and Iran, who harbored Osama bin Laden. They're an associate member, which means that they can vote on policy. Don't they vote on policy and suspend these two countries for admitting to harboring some of the terrorists of 9/11, up to including Osama bin Laden, who was the mastermind who killed 3,000 Americans? Yet they still, at the time, they were still sitting there. Lockheed Martin's quality. Okay, Martin's quality has not improved. I did a video on it most recently. An article came out about after 800 F-35s being built, they still have glaring quality issues. In fact, this is what came out of a report. The F-35 program did not sufficiently implement or flow down technical and quality management system requirements to prevent the fielding of non-conforming hardware and software. This could adversely affect aircraft performance, reliability, maintainability, and ultimately program cost. Lockheed Martin Lockheed Martin and its subcontractors did not follow disciplined AS9100 management system practices. Now look at this. Think, business owners, they sit on ANSI, right over by the accreditation body many of their suppliers, subcontractors, and themselves use, ANAP. And they can't get their shit together. Quality deficiencies, and now you're looking at this for the last decade or better. They have had quality deficiencies, and also the engine as well, Pratt & Whitney. This shows the different defects. We've got a ton of them you'll find in the description under this video. We go to United Technologies. So Lockheed gets hacked in 2009. United Technologies and that division, Sikorsky, gets hacked in 2012. And in 2015, Lockheed Martin buys Sikorsky Aircraft for $9 billion. And in the Connecticut Mirror, it states this, okay? It states, with China's okay, Lockheed Martin closes in on a purchase of Sikorsky Aircraft. And you have the four representation. You have Rosa DeLauro, Jim Himes, Christopher Murphy, Richard Blumenthal, all cheering Lockheed for utilizing and working with communist China. So you have that mess, okay? Now we bring Boeing into it. The reason why we do this is United Technologies is out over here. You've got Lockheed, Sikorsky, and now Boeing vying to merging together as far as technologically and trying to get back that contract that they lost to Bell. Well, you have Boeing that also has gotten their data taken, sitting on ANSI's board. They also sit on ANAB's board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. Well, what the hell happened with the 737 MAX? Do you know what happened? They sit right over by the FAA. The FAA seceded inspection to Boeing, which means the FAA went, go ahead. Boeing could build it without FAA approval. Actually design it without FAA, actually build it, fly it, and approve it. And all the FAA did was, I guess, initial it. You have the factor that Boeing was caught fudging documentation. What is this telling me? Lloyd Austin, are you still here? Where the heck is he? Where are you, Lloyd? Where are you? Did he disappear? I think Lloyd disappeared, for Pete's sake. Where the heck is he? I know he's here. Here he is. Here he comes. Here's Lloyd. Did you hear that? Boeing fudges documentation. You have Lockheed, who's got poor quality. What is this saying to you, Lloyd? Is that a good aircraft? Because it looks like they're building into the Defiant SB their discrepancies. And while they're doing it, they might be fudging documentation because of Boeing. People say to me, Daryl, how do you know that this technology has been taken? Well, very easily. And here you go. You have the F-35 here, it's Lockheed, and you have the Chinese knockoff. You have the Black Hawk here, and you have the Chinese knockoff. And here we go. This is important for, where is he? Did he come in? Come on, where are you? Ah, yes. Here he is. Here's Mitch Snyder. Mitch, thank you very much for coming in. Very impressive that you won that contract, but the ink isn't dry yet, so I say it's a 60-40 chance that Bell may not retain it, and Lockheed's going to get it, and I'm going to show you why. Lockheed-Sikorsky, 1 second. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. We're going to have to show you one at a time. Lockheed, okay, Lockheed-Sikorsky sits right over by Lloyd Austin there. Defense Department, who appropriates the money to purchase the replacement for the Black Hawk. You also have the factor that Boeing sits over by the Department of Defense that appropriates the money for the replacement Black Hawk. You find anything fishy with that? On top of that, on the government contract, it states that ANAB, ANSI ANAB, are underwriters for the IAF, International Accreditation Form. Influence, here you go, Mitch. I hate to say this, but there they are, all of them. You have Boeing and Lockheed sitting over by federal agencies and corporations, and those corporations, as you see, Mitch, the ones that appropriate the finances for the replacement Black Hawk, like the Department of Defense. We have a very special guest here. We have Mr. Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray gave a speech on the 15th of November 2022 concerning TikTok and the detriment to the American people's way of life, concerning espionage, cybersecurity. Well, guess what, Mitch? Here you go. The FBI sat there during 2015 to 21. And it's disgusting because they got their data taken. I hope Christopher Wray knows. Here's Christopher Wray. And Christopher Wray always says, the whole of the Chinese society is a threat to the U.S. and that Americans must step up to defend themselves. Well, Mitch, I will say this. As a whole, you won that contract, fair and square. But Lockheed has the pressure, and they also have the lobbyists. They also sit very closely with Boeing, on ANSI by the Department of Defense. So in all likelihood, you may not retain that contract. And the reason why I say this, as my dear friend Tom McDonald, an extraordinary musician, says, I can't be controlled. I only stand by the truth alone. I can't be controlled, Mitch. I can only stand by the truth alone. And that's true. And the reason why I bring you out here is this is the truth. And it's the sad truth. My telephone number is 203-556-1493. My email address is Daryl, TQRS@yahoo.com. Mitch, thank you very much. Lloyd, thank you very much for coming in. And also Christopher Wray, I appreciate it. But, you know, like I said, it's a 60-40 chance that you're going to lose, meaning 60% goes to Lockheed, Sikorsky, and Boeing, and 40% is on you. And that's all I'm going to say right now. I thank you.